Breaking news, we have a trade. Desmond Bane going to Disney World while Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, and a ton of draft picks going to the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here. We're going to keep you up to date on all things NBA. Today, we're going to break down this trade. What do the Magic get? What do the Grizzlies get? And what does this mean for the trade market as a whole? Let's take a look. This is a shocker of a deal. The Memphis Grizzlies, according to Shams Charania, are trading Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round picks, and 1 first-round pick swap. So the Magic are getting the shooting that they need, the two guard that they've been looking for in Desmond Bane. They thought they had found that last year when they signed Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Frankly, KCP is probably a bad deal now, and that has to be considered part of this trade. When we look from the Orlando Magic side, you've got that KCP contract sitting there, $21.6 million this season, and then next season still on the books at $21.6 million as well. One of those first-round picks, you kind of have to figure that one of those 4 firsts is the price of getting KCP's deal off their roster. Just did not have a strong shooting season last year. But then Cole Anthony, also a lot of flexibility here for the Memphis Grizzlies, $13 million, $13.1 million on Cole Anthony's contract for this year, and then a team option for next year. So if it doesn't work out, boom, instant flexibility for Memphis on that one. But that first round draft capital, I think that's going to be the sticker shock that a lot of people are going to be surprised by how much first round draft capital is heading the way of the Memphis Grizzlies in this deal. It is a ton. So let's get into what that's going to look like. In fact, jumping on with me right now, my guy, Donnie Freeman. Donnie, happy Father's Day, my friend. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. So I'm, firstly, if I say anything crazy, I'm not used to operating at this time in the morning. So
I'm with you.
Just for the record. But I read this because I had put my phone down and I saw your text trade. I was like, oh, KD news. So I was shocked by this. And I read this and I'm like, am I crazy? Are they getting back 4 first-round picks in this deal?
And a swap, 4 first-round picks unprotected. Now, Donnie, I was just saying, I'm looking at this as though one of these first-round picks is the price of moving Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who I think is now considered to be a bad contract. So that's part of it. But look at this, Donnie. I'm just getting into the picks here. The number 16 pick in this year's draft. So there's a pretty decent pick, right? A mid-round first pick there. Plus, this is the one. Phoenix's first-round pick in 2026. Well, Phoenix is going to be trading Kevin Durant. I mean, any second now? Like, who knows what the Phoenix Suns are going to do this coming year? So Phoenix's pick in 2026, the 2028 Magic unprotected first-rounder. They're still going to be a young team. They should still have Paolo, Franz Wagner, Des Bane. Now they're building around. They should still be pretty good. And then Orlando's 2030 unprotected first, plus a pick swap in 2029. I look at this and think, man, out of all that draft capital, it may well be next summer's Phoenix pick that winds up being the most valuable of any of these, depending on how does Phoenix bounce back from a Kevin Durant trade. And they're in a very loaded Western Conference. I wouldn't put it past the Phoenix Suns from being a lottery team again next year. And so that, I think, is the jewel of this package of picks.
Yeah, those Suns picks are just everywhere, aren't they? They're just all over the league. But yeah, that's interesting here. With Memphis, last time we talked about them, we talked about how they would probably reach difficulties paying all 3 of those guys. And so I think that, this helps alleviate some of that. But I do wonder about what they're doing now. Like, are they trying to just cut cost, start trying to get younger talent in there? Like, what are they doing? Like a pivot, rebuild, what?
That's a great question. Let's get to Memphis here in just a second. Orlando is very easy. It's clear what they're doing.
I love what Des is doing there. I like that a lot.
Yeah, you look at Orlando, right? And they were the worst 3-point shooting team. That's not exaggeration. The worst 3-point shooting team in the NBA last season. They clearly need shooting. They need scoring. They also need creation. They need somebody else who can create a shot. Well, guess what? Des Bane, while he's not a primary ball handler, he can create. He can be a creator for your offense. Plus, he gives you high volume, high percentage 3-point shooting. So you like that for the Orlando Magic. And now they're building around a trio of Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Des Bane. Plus, you still have now a Des Bane, Jalen Suggs. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed, knock on wood. Hopefully, he can stay healthy in the backcourt. You've got Anthony Black. You've got the depth at the big positions. Mo Wagner. Hopefully, he's able to come back. But this is the Orlando Magic clearly saying, hey, this is going to be our long-term trio. It's going to be Bane. It's going to be Franz and Paulo. And off we go. And in a wide open Eastern Conference, look, I think Orlando probably overpaid. I like Des Bane a lot, but I think Orlando probably overpaid a bit here. But still, I like conceptually Des Bane on this Orlando team. He's exactly what they need.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he fits perfectly here. I do wonder about just so much money being tied up into 3-4 players, but as money goes up, some of these contracts like Suggs is going down, so maybe that alleviates some of that. But I think they're also still a little bit young, 23, 24 years old from some of their main guys here. So I don't really expect them to make a ton of noise next year, but I think that this is a pivot in the right direction for sure.
Well, I mean, you look at how good Orlando was defensively.
Yeah,
they were one of the best
offensively.
Yeah, exactly. They were one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. If Desmond Bane is the piece they need to fix their offense, they are going to they could be a team to really rise in the Eastern Conference if that gets them to click. And like we've said, the East is wide open. But let's jump over here to Memphis. What does this mean for the Grizz? I think the Grizzlies have now had a few years of proof that Ja, Bane, and Triple J, it doesn't work. It's not enough. It doesn't work. It's not going to get them where they want to go. Does it hurt to give up Desmond Bane, 27 years old, $36.7 million? Then you've got a contract extension that he's eligible for next summer. I think it does hurt, but the value they're getting, and this gives Memphis so many ways to pivot when you've got 4 picks coming in this deal. Yeah. And you can argue that KCP, look, he got the shot to start falling in, I believe it was March of this year. You're getting Cole Anthony as well. Now, I don't know exactly what that's going to mean for Scottie Pippen Jr. with Cole Anthony coming in, but I do think you're getting enough guard play to where you may not get decisively worse this year, especially if you can get KCP to play like the KCP of a few years ago. He fits pretty well conceptually with John Morant, but the draft capital you're getting is going to give you so much wiggle room and so many opportunities to go a lot of different ways here. I think that's where Memphis now has opened up their future. They were locked in to Ja, Bane, and Jaren Jackson. Now the possibilities could be endless for the Memphis Grizzlies. So I actually have the Grizzlies as the winner in this trade, and I love Des Bane, and I get what the Orlando Magic are trying to do. I don't fault them, but the value is so fantastic, and now it opens things up. Next year, they'll have KCP on an expiring contract. They've got the draft capital. They've got a guy in Cole Anthony who could wind up sticking around next year on a team option. I think this trade makes a ton of sense for Memphis, and I love what they're getting here.
Yeah, I agree with you. How much time did KCP have left on his contract? One more year, right?
Or just one more year. Yes.
Yeah.
Just
like, I don't know. I do think that they overpaid in this trade just because
Orlando.
Yeah, just because I don't see 4 in a swap for Dez. And I like Dez a lot, and I think he fits really well. And I think they can be really, really good this season, like we were just talking about. I just think that's a bit of an overpay. But if you're Memphis, I would jump on that personally because, like you said, it gives you a bunch of different possibilities that you didn't have before. You were also staring down a Jaren Jackson extension as well.
Yep.
And I'm sure they were thinking about that too, right? Because they have had Jaren on such a bargain deal and he's going to double in size. So I'm sure they were thinking about that as well. But yeah, this trio, they had some fun regular seasons, but were not able to get them where they wanted to go for a multitude of reasons, off court stuff, injuries, not being healthy at the same time, a whole bunch of stuff. But they weren't able to get there. But I'm really curious to see what they decide to do in the short term. Do they try to now they got that flexibility, yes, but do they try to package some of those picks and turn them into another player? What are they doing here? Because the West is not getting any weaker. They may not have gotten a ton weaker, but they didn't get a lot better either. I don't think either. So
yeah, and that's fair to note as well, that this is something where they're in a very difficult Western Conference. They do get this, the pick in this year's draft. They get Orlando 16 overall. So that'll be interesting to see what they're gonna do with that. But I don't think the Grizzlies are going to want to take a big step back here and rebuild or anything. And that's why I think this may just be the start. I think we could see some of this draft capital repackaged in a trade going somewhere else for the Grizzlies to truly do something decisive. I don't think they have to. I think because so much of this is future draft capital, now they can kind of take a breath and figure out what they want to do. But so now I think the Grizz, they're a team to watch now as a team that could be up to something with all of these draft picks. But again, if I'm them, man, I'm probably hanging on to that Phoenix pick, unless somehow they can get into the mix with Phoenix. I mean, there's still other pieces that the Suns are going to want to move. But I mean, maybe does that Phoenix pick now become part of a Kevin Durant trade somewhere, right? Do the Grizzlies get a piece as a third team or something in a deal that would send the Suns back that 2020? Like this, again, like I said, this opens up so many different possibilities for Memphis that as good as Desmond Bane is, and he may wind up being an all-star. In the East, I like this return from Memphis. They have so many possibilities now available to them.
Yeah, he probably for sure will end up being an all-star in the East at some point. I didn't even think about that because he was never really going to have that possibility in the West, assuming people were healthy. He didn't make any teams, did he? He was probably like an all-star adjacent guy, like 25, right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm remembering. Like I said, it's early, so my mind's not all the way there. But yeah, for Memphis though, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I can see it again. I don't want to just poo-poo the Magic side. I think that they maybe went a little bit overboard, but hey, if they are able to take that leap and go to the next level for them, that will be really good, right? So.
Oh, sure. In an East and I think when we talk about, to take a step back here and we look at the market as a whole, I think what we're talking about.
I was going to ask you about that. Did this just butcher the first round pick market?
Maybe. I mean, this is so much draft capital. Really, I want to look at this though because of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's contract. I want to look at this and say this is 3 first round picks for Desmond Bane.
He's an expiring though, right? So
no, Bane is not. Bane's not an expiring.
Okay. You're right.
KCP has a year left on his deal, and it's a player option. Cole Anthony has a team option, so that's not not inherently bad there. But I do think that this is
pieces backwards.
No worry. Like we said, it's earlier than we are used to. But I look at this and think, yeah, this is 3 first round picks. I think is the right way to look at it for Desmond Bane, which still might be a lot, but he's a top tier talent in terms of at the 2 guard position. He's a skill set fit with what the Orlando Magic need, but this is a lot of draft capital. And I wonder if this is going to now really spark the arms race in the Eastern Conference amongst the teams like the Detroit Pistons. The Pacers obviously are in the finals right now. Who knows exactly where that's ultimately going to land with them, but the Knicks, right? They're another team that's right there. What about the Miami Heat? They're in the middle of the Kevin Durant chase. Do the Miami Heat say, no, we don't want the other Florida team to make a big push here? What if this gets them to give up? Right now the stopping point is Kelly Ware. What if this gets them to give up Kelly Ware? What about the Atlanta Hawks? These are teams now that I think the spotlight turns on them in the Eastern Conference. Maybe the Milwaukee Bucks are in that mix too. And you say, okay, Orlando made their move. They're going to try to push up to be a solid playoff team, if not better. They're going to try to be next year's Indiana Pacers. Detroit, what are you going to do? Atlanta, what are you going to do? Right? This could very well set off an Eastern Conference arms race because of what's going to happen here with the Boston Celtics as they dismantle their team. So that's going to be really interesting to watch too. But I do think overall, this is a lot of draft capital going out. And I do wonder if this makes it more difficult for some teams to get a player that they want for, say, 1 first round pick.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering about. If these teams are going to try to make trades, they're going to be like, oh, well, that Desmond Bane to 4 and a swap. Yeah, sorry. If that's what they're getting for Des, we want 3 first for this guy or something.
Oh, did the Suns just increase their price tag for Kevin Durant if Desmond Bane got 3 first round picks?
I wonder about that. Seriously, that's a legitimate thing. But that's what when you kind of explained just now about the situation in the Eastern Conference, we've had some people that have wondered what wide open means, and that's what it means, right? It doesn't mean that a team like the Pacers can't get back to the finals, or another team can't make it. Of course, it just means that there's just there's no definitive like Cavs a few years ago, where it's like, oh, they're going to be there for sure. Like everybody has a chance, right? And if some of these other teams that were in that 40s range are able to make a significant move, especially seeing this, maybe that does make the East much more competitive next year. Because the East is weird because it's like, it's not as competitive as the West. It's not as good, but it is within reason, like pretty competitive onto itself. Like those first 6 slots, I think, are pretty good. But yeah, so we'll see what other teams can maybe make a jump here at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everybody, let us know your thoughts in the comment section on this trade. Unbelievable deal. A shocker coming out early in the morning here. Desmond Bane going to the Orlando Magic, a haul of picks. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony on their way to the Memphis Grizzlies. Who won the deal? I say the Grizz won it. What do you think? What do you think? Kevin Durant won it.
He was not the first one traded this offseason. So there you
That's
go.
right. That may be the big surprise that Kevin Durant was not the first one out the door. But everybody, let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe right here to the Basketball Bulletin. Until next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.